Hey everyone, Kent with Zamplo here, and making a quick video today to share with you guys the current best practices on pulling data within Zamplo. I have made a how to export data video in the past, but being a web-based software, as Zamplo is, there's going to be times where we add new things to the platform or add enhancements, make things better, and sometimes those things slightly change the workflow, and it could be as little as a button changes or how you do something is a little bit different than what you had done in the past. So making this video today to give you a most up-to-date version on exporting data, and it will work for those of you that are brand new, that are looking for a little bit of guidance or resource that you can watch along as you're pulling your first list, or if you've pulled many lists in Zamplo, but things are just maybe a little bit different than when you first started. It's just kind of a good way to recap and make sure that you're up to date. So it's going to be a raw, unedited video, and without further ado, we're going to go ahead and dive in. So one thing I will mention is the version of Zamplo that I'm in has every single feature that we have on the platform. So if there's something you see that is not in your tool that you're interested in, feel free to reach out anytime. Happy to chat with you guys about that. So exporting data, that's what we're here for. When you get into your account, all paths of exporting data is going to start at this little tab at the top under export data. So when we come here, we have a list of all these different things that we can filter by. And the standard things that I'd say pretty much everybody wants to filter by are already turned on by default. And then beyond that, it's up to you, depending on what's important to you, to add additional filters. So those additional filters might be things like the adjacent roads filter or the wetlands filter or whatever it may be that you want to filter by. So once you have those selected, then it's as simple as coming down to the bottom here and you're going to start filling out what it is that you're looking for. So let's just go ahead and do California and maybe Kern County today. It's a rather big county. So we enter that in and we're going to get a count of how many parcels we have available within that county. And then we'll say, maybe our buy box is things that are, 1 to 5 acres. That's kind of our sweet spot of what we're looking for. So, of course, all of these things are interchangeable. This is just me giving an example. You can put in whatever makes the most sense for what you're looking for ideally. But one of the things that's probably the most crucial that anybody will, I would imagine the majority of people would want to select, is the empty lots only filter. So this is a filter that is going to automatically remove parcels that have houses or structures on them. And if you are a land investor, of course, those are things that you don't want to be reaching out to. So we add that. It's going to trim that down dramatically. And then we're going to get into some filtering based on who the owner is. So various opinions on who you should be mailing to. I'm sure there's deals to be made in all of these different categories. But person is one that probably everybody wants. Trusts, another very common one. And then it's kind of 50-50 on corporations if you want to mail those. But if you don't want to mail LLCs or other land investors, then having corporation turned off is a way to not have that included. Owner proximity, this is where their mailing address is in relation to the parcel. So again, within country, out of state, absentee owners, that's probably a big one. Same state, different zip. We mail that ourselves. And it's up to you how close you want to get. In my opinion, the idea is you just want to be mailing somebody that lives right next door to the parcel. The likelihood that they're going to be wanting to sell it when they look at it as just an extension of their home is probably pretty low. So these last two filters here, before I get to the last filter, I should say, are the things that I added up at the top. So the next to the road filter, that was the adjacent roads filter. And this is a way to help scrub out things that are landlocked. So road within 30 feet is probably the common thing that you want to select here. Anything that doesn't have a physical road within 30 feet, it's removed. I say physical because there are going to be certain areas within counties where when you're looking at the parcel boundary lines, you can see where a road is supposed to be. It's platted for a road, but a road was never put there. So if you are okay with those in a scenario like that, then you probably don't want to use this filter. But yeah, it's a really useful filter. And, when it comes to sending mail, that's the expensive part, really. I mean, if we were just for easy math saying we're going to send 32,000 pieces of mail, but there was 16,000 of them that didn't have road access, that we would not be interested in, I just saved 16,000 pieces of mail that I would have sent otherwise. Lastly, wetlands percentage. Of course, in California, this is not going to be as big of an issue as some other states like Florida. But if you wanted to say, hey, you're okay if there's a maximum 25% wetlands coverage, you could add something like that and kind of filter out anything that has more than 25% wetlands. And then this last one at the bottom here, only include max 1 parcel per owner. That's a way to remove duplicate owners. So if John Smith happens to own 10 parcels in the county, he's going to appear on your list 1 time as opposed to 10 times. So we get 13,000 records there. For many of us, that's more than you probably want to export in one go. So the best practice here is to save the query. And the query is going to become your save template. It's your saving your filters so you can use them again. And I'm just going to call this demo for now and press save. And now I can go up to the top here and I can search Kern County. And when I search at the top here, it's going to take me directly to that county, which is highlighted. So I can quickly, at a glance see, okay, where am I going to have my bearings? If I don't have that turned on, sometimes seeing the little black lines or county lines can be a little difficult. So here I have a lot of different places that I might want to focus on or go to. In this area, maybe we'll focus on, let's say, behind, below Mojave. And so we'll do maybe down here in the Willow Springs area. So if I take this polygon tool, I can draw a big shape for where I want to go. And once I have drawn that shape, over on the right, so I'm going to delete a previous shape I had, is I'm going to get this little area over here, and I can go to Actions, and I can hit Export Parcels, and it's going to give me a count of how many parcels within that shape there are. But where the real benefit is of saving the query is I can go to my saved queries, and I can select the one that we just created, and it runs it through all those filters to give me an updated count of how many things actually fit what I'm looking for. So what's nice about this is if you have a number in your mind that you're trying to kind of stay under in terms of how much you're wanting to send out, you can cancel this and go back and then come here and adjust this as much as you like. So you can come in, kind of adjust the shape. I'll grab these little dots, make it a little bit smaller. Maybe we'll pull it down here a little bit, and then basically check the count again, hit Export Parcels. It's going to give us an updated count of how many things within that shape fit what we're looking for. And maybe the goal that we had was to be below 2,500. So we're going to say, okay, we're happy with that. But before I move forward, I want to hit Cancel. And I actually want to come in here and hit Save. And by saving the shape, now it's going to be a breadcrumb that I can use in the future. So if I am operating and working in the same county, it's really easy for me to see where I've already mailed to make sure that I'm not potentially sending mail to the same person that I just sent to, or really more realistically, the same parcel that I just sent to last month. So we'll say Kern, March 25th, 2026. Something that you're going to remember by. You can also add little notes here if you'd like. And then whenever we press save, now it's going to appear over here on the right. And then when I go to Actions once more and I hit Export Parcels, again, it gives me that count. I hit Continue, and it brings me back to this page where everything's automatically filled out already based on that query with the addition of the GeoJSON, and that's the polygon shape itself. So once we scroll down to the bottom here, if I go hit Export Parcels, it's not going to export right away. I know a lot of people that are new to Zamplo, they might be a little bit nervous to hit that for the very first time. What it's going to do is it's going to take you to this page where you get to decide how you want to export the parcels, essentially. So until you hit Export and Pay, you are okay. Now, here, the biggest thing to decide is probably the columns that you want to appear on your spreadsheet. So, we have detailed. You could add skip tracing right here as well if you want. That's a topic for another day, but if you want to get your skip tracing lowered, if you're doing bulk, let me know because we can get it a lot lower for you. And then, so we have detailed every single piece of information that we have, or you could go to something like the basic plus URLs, which is more of kind of the standard things that most people want to know. but you also have the opportunity to make this a little bit more of your own. So if you wanted to go through here and add, coordinates or anything like that, you certainly could. Maybe you also wanted to see the lot size calculated by square footage on your spreadsheet. Maybe also some information about the highest point of elevation and the lowest point, and then a roughness rating, just to get an idea of what the topography and the slope is like in that area. So you can make it your own, save your own preset. That way you don't have to do this every time, and then you would export and pay. The customized pricing tool is a tool probably best suited for another day too, if you wanted to use it to do some pricing essentially for that list. How it works is it's going to pull, well, in fact, I'll just show you guys real quick. Hit customize pricing. We'd come into here. We can either do a radius of where we want to pull comps from, or we can load comps from the exact shape that we just drew. So I'll go to Kern. Here we go. That was March 18th. There we go. So hit load. And then maybe I'll get rid of county and I'll leave realtor for now. Load these listings. And then what's going to happen is it's going to take that comp data and it's going to give you kind of three key areas. One, the map. The ones that are currently highlighted are highlighted with this like light blue circle around them. You're going to get a list over here on the left of all of these comps. And then they're also going to be visually appearing here on the right in this power series or power law regression table. So what's nice about this is it helps give a bit of a visual idea of where the median is, and most things are kind of clumped in this area for this particular list that we're mailing to. You can come take a look at this one that's the highest though, and see where on the map it is. And when you highlight it and see, okay, the price per acre is 40,000, then it makes it really easy to come to that area, highlight it, see where it is, go take a look at it, and then it's going to take me into this listing. And often there's something in that listing that's pretty obvious right away, that maybe it had utilities, or there's a lake in the background, or something that is not the kind of representative of the average parcel. So the idea, I'm not going to bore you guys and go through this in details, but that you can go through here and remove things that you feel like don't quite fit what you're looking for, and then and what represents the average parcel in this area. And as you're doing that, it's going to create a trend line and a formula that you can apply to your export to help you come up with what the market value should be in terms of what you want to make your offer based on. So again, that is something that probably, if you want to go into more detail about that, I'd be happy to hop on a call, jump into that with you, and kind of do some real examples. But today's video was to give a standard idea of how do I export a list, what's the proper workflow if I haven't been in and done one in a while, and when you are ready and you go hit export and pay, then what's going to happen, it's going to take us to this next page here, where it takes about 20 to 30 seconds to export the data into a CSV file that we can then open up and take a look at. So again, anytime that you guys want to go through any of these things that I'm seeing in more detail, this is kind of a really quick video. You're more than welcome to reach out. We can definitely book a time. We do have weekly webinars and things like that we run as well. So this is going to go ahead and export into a CSV file. Again, doesn't take long. All right, almost done. All right, so we hit download, open it up there. I'm going to pull this over, and I'm just going to go to Google Sheets. Just open up a new thing here. All right, and then I typically just go to File, Open, go to Upload, and then I just drag that file over from my Downloads folder. And then there you go. We have our data in the spreadsheet as pretty much what you'd be expecting to see. So if we scroll over this custom value column, that is based on using the pricing tool and selecting the comps that best reflect the area that you're getting ready to mail to. It's another reason why I like to mail kind of like smaller areas as opposed to one really large area or one county at a time, because trying to find comps that kind of represent what a 2-acre parcel is worth across the entire county is a lot more difficult than it is when you're kind of focused in an area where the 2-acre parcels are all quite similar. So I would typically, enter another column here. So insert column to the right, probably call it offer. And then depending on what you're going to offer, maybe it's going to be, 40 cents on the dollar. And then you have your offer amount to put on your letters for your blind offers there. And then if you scroll over, you get the standard stuff in terms of, the owner name information, the mailing address, and then one thing that I really like is the Zamplo map URL. So if you ever wanted to quickly jump into one of these parcels, let's say somebody called you, it was Louis, you could click on this link and it's automatically going to open up to where that parcel is within Zamplo, so you can be taking a look at it in real time while you're on the phone with him. So again, we could stay on this this video here for a long time, going through more and more, but main thing today is some best practices on how to export data currently today. We went through the polygon tool. That's probably the most common method that people do because, again, you have best control on the volume of records that you want, as well as you're able to save where you've been. But you don't have to use the polygon tool. You could also just do it directly from here. And, if you wanted to do this area right here as well, one thing that we can do is if there's a certain APN range that you wanted to go for, maybe it's the 252 area, you could also add a APN wildcard filter, and then whenever you're here you can say I only want the parcels that start with 252, so it'd be 252 percentage. There's more details about how the wildcard filters work here, but I would add that, and then that's another way to really narrow down the specific area of parcels that I would want to go after. So leaves me with 398 total within the county. So appreciate the time, and like I've said many times already, if you have any questions or want to hop on a call together, just let me know. Take care.